Motoring 2010 on TSN is brought to you by Quaker State, Real Durable Oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.
As you might expect, after almost 23 years, we have had our share of new product launches in the automotive world, and you always know what to expect. You test drive the vehicle, you talk to the men and women behind the new product. Well, this week we're just outside Victoria, British Columbia, and I'm not too sure what to expect. You see, the new vehicle is the Sienna minivan, and as you know, it's manufactured by Toyota. And I'm not sure where the story will be when you see this, but as we all know, this is a company that's been in deep doo-doo. And this is their very first new product launch since the you-know-what hit the fan. So this week we're going to check out three things. One, the new Sienna. Two, we'll see if it's business as usual at Toyota. And three, we're going to talk to the experts, the automotive journalists, and see what they think of this company's situation. But first, the third generation Sienna.
We're certainly watching Toyota, and I mean everybody's watching Toyota to see what happens. Not to mention it's a minivan, and frankly, this is such a small segment of the market anymore that there's also an atmosphere of why are they bothering with this?
The market is smaller than it was, but it's still a very active market in Canada, probably between 70 and 100,000 units a year, depending on the economy, and so we expect it to come back strongly. Fewer players in the minivan market right now, so there's less people in the market. We think we can probably double our sales next year going in with the new model.
I think that they're putting a bib on a dog for no particular reason, silk one at that, and you know, God bless them if they think they can do it. I don't think so. I mean, the minivan market is for young families, and young families typically are broke. And so they want something that is reasonably reliable, gives them lots of space for the kids, but it's got to be at a really, really aggressively low price, and that's something that this Sienna is not.
I'm one of the few people I know that feels that minivans do have a place and a purpose, and it's wonderful to see particularly a high-end manufacturer like this continue to try to bridge the acceptance gap for minivans. They've done a great job with this. I'm sure you've showed your people at home the interior by now, and they've done a good job of achieving their car-like ride in a minivan, and also one of the most luxurious minivans currently available.
It's the first new launch of 2010. Toyota's been in the news for a lot of other things. Is this uncomfortable for you and for Toyota people? What are you just, is it business as usual?
Oh no, that's a great question. For us, it's business as usual. You know, we build a very great product. Our owners are standing by us very closely. We're looking forward to bringing this new van into the marketplace at this time. Again, because it's a great opportunity to have that, and it's a very important segment for Canada. Our current Sienna has done very well. This is going to take it to another level.
You know, it hasn't quite been the elephant in the room that I thought it was going to be during the preparation for the trip. They're currently kind of being beset from all sides, but we've seen this happen to virtually every major manufacturer who makes it to or near the top. It's inevitable.
What do you tell people?
I tell them exactly that. I said, frankly, 99% of what you're hearing is just absolute overblown hype. The floor mat thing was never even an issue in Canada, and yet people are taking them into dealerships and asking dealers to do something with them. And yet they were designed differently, supplied differently. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is ridiculous.
The 4-cylinder 2.7 liter is first time offered on the Sienna line. It makes about 187 horsepower. And the 3.5 liter V6 puts about 266 horsepower, which is a class leading in its segment. And together the new 6-speed automatic offers tremendous performance, also fuel economy, and also kind of keeps the noise levels down when you're cruising in 6th gear as well.
So who says minivans aren't cool? I mean, look at me, the lap of luxury in the back of this Sienna. Just think about a long trip, you got the kids or just friends in the back, you've got the video screen, and you can either share a movie, you can watch 2 different movies, 2 different games, you've each got your own remote. The bottom line is, everybody stays happy. Boy, I remember the days when all we could do was count white horses.
The all-wheel drive is an active torque control system, meaning it's an on-demand system. So when you're driving a straight road, all the power goes to the front wheels. But as soon as the system notices some slippage, torque is transferred to the rear. But the best part about this system is it behaves like a full-time all-wheel drive system, meaning when you accelerate from stop or accelerate to pass, the torque is sent to the rear. So there's no delay, essentially, from the front to rear.
You know, a lot of people understand they need the convenience and the comfort of the minivan, but they're a little reluctant because of the coolness. You know, so we're going to bring cool back in the minivan.
They're certainly going to sell some high-end ones, but the question is how many? And frankly, if they're happy with small numbers, then so be it.
You pay for it, of course, but it's a nice product, and it is offered in enough choices and styles that there is something here for anyone who can face up to the fact that they do, in real life, need a minivan.
Can you hear that engine idling? No? There's a reason for that. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
Of late, Ford has been on a product tear, but what about the Lincoln side of its portfolio? On this edition of Test Drive, the MKS and its delightful EcoBoost engine. Not so long ago, the Lincoln lineup consisted essentially of the Town Car and Continental, both of which were the cure for insomnia, such was the boredom of the drive. Today there's an array of cars that are so far removed, I had to keep reminding myself that I was test driving a Lincoln. The good news is that the MKS has the mechanical wherewithal to back up its newfound style. Pop the deck lid on this MKS and you'll find a large trunk. Over 18 cubic feet of cargo space. The drawbacks, well, first of all, the opening's like a letterbox. Lots of width, no height. The other problem, there's no split folding rear seat backs, and so all you get is a ski pass-through. As a result, what you see, well, that's all you're gonna get. The MKS's gasoline turbocharged direct injection engine is a wonderful piece of engineering. Ford's EcoBoost technology is as good as it gets. In this case, the direct injected twin-turbo 3.5-litre V6 pushes no less than 355 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque at 1500 RPM. To say the MKS is quick is an understatement. The 0 to 100k time comes in just 5.5 seconds. It is also surprisingly frugal if driven with a soft foot. I actually averaged 10.8 litres per 100 kilometres during the test period, which surpassed expectation. The interior of this MKS is a mixture of good and bad. On the good side, you can get anything your little heart desires. Now you can get a 600-watt audio system that really is very good, top-notch navigation system, a double moonroof, and the car will park itself, and it also gets sync, which allows you to talk to a lot of the various different components. That's the good side. The bad side? Well, if you want some of those toys, you better be prepared to dig deep. On this car, there's over $12,000 worth of options. And then there are the materials. Now, some of them, up here and here, very nice. The center console, not so nice. The leather, very nice. But some of it's man-made, and it's not so nice, aka this is vinyl. It all comes together in a rather disappointing manner. The EcoBoost power is relayed to the road through a good all-wheel drive system and a 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters. The all-wheel drive system, when teamed with Ford's sophisticated advanced track stability control system, puts a stop to any unwanted wheel spin under flat-out acceleration while adding a measure of stability to the drive. Mat the gas and the MKS just picks up its exaggerated side sills and runs like the wind. It also boasts the braking power needed to stop a heavy sedan in just 42.3 meters from 100k. This Lincoln MKS comes with paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Now these things are designed so the driver does not have to take his hands off the wheel if he decides to use the gearbox manually. But not on this car. Oh no, you've got to take it off and put it into manual. Now a good system, as employed by Audi and BMW, they leave the paddle shifters active regardless of shifter position. And that's the way it should be. If you're going to do it right. As with the engine, the handling and ride is, in a word, superb. This is a large, heavy 1,940 kilogram car, but that one would never know from the way it drives. The feel and feedback from the steering is great, the suspension is effectively damped, and thanks to the all-wheel drive system and large 245/45R20 tyres, there are no discernible vices.
Oh, what is it they say? Rain, rain, go away. Well, there you have it, the end of another test drive. I really did learn to like a lot of aspects of this MKS. The handling's great, it's very comfortable, it's got a lot of amenities, and it's got one honey of an engine. However, I didn't care for some of the cost-cutting measures. As my mum used to say, what the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Putting the penny pinching right in your face is not a good idea.
Time to update our long-term Subaru Outback, which also won our crossover under $40,000 category in our Car of the Year program. Now, 2009 was a year that most automakers would like to forget, but not Subaru. In fact, last year, when it comes to sales, was the best year in the history of the company, up 15%. And of course, Subaru is hoping that trend will continue with the new Outback. With the likes of the Equinox CR-V and RAV4 to name a few, the competition is much tougher than it was 15 years ago when the Outback was first introduced. Now, Subaru has pimped up the Outback a bit. It's roomier, certainly more stylish, and better fuel economy. In short, the Outback does not need a snowstorm to show off its attributes, although the symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive is, as always, comforting and seamless while on the road. One pet peeve, albeit a small one, I'm not big on this tailpipe. Pretty cheap looking, I would say, and it certainly does a disservice to the rest of this vehicle. Make sure you check out the Motoring website at motoringtv.com. You can watch any program you may have missed. In fact, how about a trip down memory lane and see what we were driving as far back as 1988. Check out our blog, our photo gallery, and much more. It's all there at motoringtv.com.
What we're doing is migrating first to partial electrification with hybrids, and then full electrification with battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So GM's committed to be the leader in electrification of the vehicle.
As we saw earlier, Toyota is hoping that their new Sienna minivans have the 3 C's: comfortable, convenient, and cool. In fact, one Toyota executive suggested that the new minivans, especially the Sports Edition, they're so cool they could be a pace car in a NASCAR event. Well, Bill Gardner, our man in the Quaker State Garage, happens to be the biggest NASCAR fan on Motoring. So let's see what Bill thinks about a minivan being a pace vehicle at a NASCAR event.
Brad, tell me it ain't so. Next time you're on a plane, get me one of those air sickness bags out of the seat ahead of you, will you please? Because if that ever happens, I'm gonna need it. You know what? I've seen Tundra pickups in front of NASCAR fields, so if Toyota wants to use a vehicle, that's the one I'd like to hear. But my all-time favorite pace car deal this past February, 7-time NASCAR champion and 7-time Daytona 500 winner Richard Petty, they call him the king in NASCAR, in front of the field in the 2011 Ford Mustang pace car with that brand new 5-liter 32-valve double overhead cam V8 snarling away in front of the NASCAR field. That was a neat deal. Now, Brad, we just got finished doing our National Car Care Month promo for Pennzoil Quaker State, Canada. We've been doing motoring now, this is our 23rd season and 11 seasons of doing National Car Care Month. That involves myself going to almost every major media outlet across the country and doing live shots, talking about the importance of doing repairs and maintenance on your car, caring for your car, so you've got a safer, better running car. Now, we started out I flew from Toronto to Kelowna and then drove Kelowna to Vernon. Spent the first 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at Mike Roseman RV's RV show. They rented the Sun Valley Speedway in Vernon, and they had this huge array of RVs there, motorhomes, trailers, every kind of peripheral toy or equipment that you could tow or haul or use with your RV. They had it there. And one thing that I found out that was really interesting was the new Cobalt and Malibu GM vehicles can be flat towed behind a motorhome, even with an automatic transmission. Now that used to be the exclusive territory of Saturn cars, and I've had inquiries lately from motoring viewers asking me, my old Saturn needs to be replaced, I want to flat tow it behind the motorhome, what do I buy? There's your answer. So I learned something too. Now, when we were doing National Car Care Month, I noticed that 2 of the on-air hosts that I work with, when we used their vehicles for the shoot, pulled the dipstick out, nothing on the dipstick, absolutely no oil showing. And when your car falls into a position where there's no oil showing on the dipstick, you don't know, is it slightly below the tip of the dipstick or is there nothing? You have no frame of reference. And at that point, you shouldn't even run the engine. You should put some oil in before you even start it up. Now, take a mainstream car like a late model Honda Accord. 5 liters of oil, that's what that jug is right there, 5 liters of oil, and that little oil filter is everything that's protecting your engine from a lubrication standpoint. So if you're down 2 or 3 liters of oil, you're on the brink of destroying that engine over, what, 20, 30 bucks worth of servicing on your car? It just makes no sense. A late model Toyota Corolla, for example, there's the oil filter and maybe a little bit less crankcase capacity. But whatever your car is, you've got to make sure that you've got the proper amount of oil in the crankcase, you're changing it regularly, you're using a quality product, and you're maintaining it when you should. It's just so important, and so many people overlook that, waiting for that engine oil light to come on and flag the fact that they've got a problem. At the point the oil light comes on, it's already too late. And as your car ages, after you get years and kilometers on it, the oil consumption rate is not linear. It's going to increase. You're going to have to add some oil in between changes. All the bottles are resealable. Make sure you've got a spare liter of oil in the car. If it's even down half a liter, top it up. Then you sort of reset your mind. You know the fact that you've checked it and it's okay, and you're good till the next tank of gas. But make sure you're checking it, because if you wait for that light to come on, it's too late. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2010.
I recently got to drive the new BMW X5, and to be honest with you, it's a mixture of good and bad. The stylistic changes are very small. In fact, you've got to have the 2 vehicles parked side by side to really appreciate the subtle differences.
Mechanically, the X5 diesel continues relatively unchanged. The gasoline powertrains, however, are both new and teamed with a sweet new 8-speed automatic transmission. Last year's 4.4-litre V8 was no slouch. The 4.4-litre twin-turbo engine outdoes it in every area. The stallion count rises to 400, the torque jumps to 450 pound-feet, and the time to reach 100k drops by 1.3 seconds. Better yet, the newfound vigour comes without exacting a fuel economy penalty. Likewise, the new inline-6, which now features Valvetronic and a new twin-scroll turbo, it develops 300 horsepower, which is up 15%, and 300 pound-feet of torque. The latter is up a staggering 33%. As a result, it shaves 1.6 off the 0 to 100k time when compared to last year's twin-turbo model.
The improved mechanicals, this X5 will be a very easy sale. However, if they try and upgrade the current buyer base to the new vehicle based on looks alone, they're going to be having an uphill battle.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2010 is brought to you by the most fuel-efficient crossover on the highway, the all-new Chevy Equinox.
Now, we've gone on about idling here on the corner before, but the issues come back to the fore because the City of Toronto has recently revised its anti-idling bylaw. It used to be a 3-minute limit, now it's 1 minute. Shut it off. I don't really have a problem with that. Oh yeah, I hate people telling me what to do, but frankly, idling is about the stupidest thing you can do in a car. Obviously, it wastes a lot of money. You're getting 0 miles per gallon or using infinite liters per 100 kilometers. But it's also the worst possible thing you can do to your car. How tough can it be? Shut it off. When you got to get going again, fire it back up. That's one of the reasons hybrids make such good fuel consumption numbers in the city. The engine doesn't run when you're not moving. And some other cars also have an automatic stop-start function now. We're starting to get those cars in Canada as well. But there's some inconsistencies going on here. I mean, if the City of Toronto really wanted to reduce pollution caused by idling automobiles, why do they still have streetcars on the roads? These things cause incredible traffic jams. Bury them underground or put them on the railway right-of-ways or something. Get them off the streets. And eliminate all of these stupid, massive intersections with traffic lights. Put in roundabouts. There's no idling then. Everybody cruises right on through. Now, the neighboring city of Waterloo has an interesting twist on this. They say you can't idle unless it's below -5 degrees. Oh, poor baby, is it too cold for you? Get a pair of gloves, what's wrong with you? And these truckers who say they've got to idle their truck all night, you're gonna run a 1,700 horsepower diesel engine to keep your cabin warm? Give me a break. But you know, there's a potential here for some efficiency. I mean, if the cops have to stop people for idling, well, when they go to the Timmy's in the morning to get their double-double and their donuts, look at all those people in the drive-through lineups. There's no way they're getting a coffee within a minute. They could just charge all of those folks. Think about the revenue they generate. And actually, if they'd be doing something useful, instead of being out there on the streets nabbing people for flashing their high beams at their lousy radar traps, win, 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 says I. I'm Jim Kenzie.
So the question is the new Sienna better than its predecessor? The answer to that is simply yes in every way. And I really like the addition of the 4-cylinder engine. But you know, this company, like few other companies that are still building minivans, is trying so hard to bring some cool to the minivan. Personally, I've never understood why so many people, including good friends of mine, quote, wouldn't be caught dead in a minivan. I mean, these new minivans are great handling, great comfort, and they've got lots of places to put your stuff. I mean, those are pretty good reasons to own any vehicle. But you know, I've been saying this for years, and the minivan market continues to shrink. And if it continues in that direction, you really wonder if this third-generation Sienna could be its last. Well, time will tell. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
It may not be politically correct in some circles, but the fact remains that we're going to have internal combustion cars around for a long time. And why not make one that's actually fun to use? And this is exactly what it is, a fun car to drive.
Motoring 2010 on TSN has been brought to you by Quaker State, real durable oil, and Michelin, a better way forward.